Want to be a topper in MBA entrance exams? Join BYJU'S Exam Prep, CAT and MBA YouTube channel and watch serial 99 percentilers teaching you the tips and tricks.
Hi everyone, good morning. Welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep. My name is Alpa Sharma and this is our editorial analysis. Can you hear and see me clearly, everyone? Am I clearly audible and visible to everybody? Very good morning. So good to see you guys back. If you could very quickly confirm if I'm visible and audible, we shall start off with our session super soon. Hi Nandini. Hi Anuja, Prads. Good morning. I hope you can hear and see me clearly. Yes, okay Tanishq. Good morning. Alright, so what are we going to be doing in the class today? So I've got two articles, okay? Unlike the last few classes where I brought only one article for you, I've brought two articles today. And the sources of both the articles is the Hindu. It's been a while that I had taken an article from the Hindu. I'd been taking a lot of articles from the Aeon, the Guardian, the New York Times, and I'd actually been missing taking the Hindu articles. So I went through the last few weeks. I found out some articles which are based on topics that are relevant from the perspective of the MBA entrance examinations. Those topics which we need to be comfortable with because we get a lot of RCs on those topics. So I'll tell you later on what the topics are, but the articles that I've brought today both are from the Hindu. So we have roughly 3 pages of vocabulary and we're going to be discussing the tone of the author, summary, many inferences, questions, small articles, not very long, but very interesting piece of writings. Prats, did you write something? I'm going to check it today. Okay. Good morning, Priya. Hi, Pratik. Good morning. All right. So that's what the agenda of today's class is going to be. And towards the end, I've added a new thing to the class lately. We'll be looking at today's newspaper and we'll be looking at the week that has passed by, the Aeon articles that have been published. We'll look at the Indian Express, the Guardian, the New York Times, and we'll see if there are important articles in any one of these newspapers that we have to read, something that we can't miss out on. That's what we're going to be doing towards the end of the class, if time permits. So let's quickly start off with the vocabulary today. That's slide number 1. The vocabulary is out of the articles we're going to be doing in today's class. So the first word is time. Timing is basically controlling the growth of something. Is timing. So for example, I say if a person in adolescence or in childhood doesn't have a healthy diet, is going to stymie the child's growth. It's going to hinder the growth. It could be growth, it could be progress. The changes must not be allowed to stymie new medical treatment. So this is going to, the changes are going to possibly control the progress of medical treatments. If there are no funds, for example, then the progress in medical treatments are going to be stymied. They're going to be either controlled or hindered or prevented. That's what stymied is, the first word. The second word is devious. Okay. Perhaps probably you wrote it later on because the same day I had checked it, but nonetheless I'm going to check it again today. Okay, Prats? All right. Everyone who wishes to write down the summary, which I highly recommend you should, under my video in the comment section, the summary of the articles that I teach. If you wish to write down the summary, try writing it down within the day itself. I usually check all the summaries within 24 hours. After that, it's a little difficult for me to track the older videos, okay? So I highly recommend that you write down the summary or the tone or whatever homework that I give you within 24 hours. I check all of the comments. Okay, so the second word is devious. So devious is basically a negative word. It might actually sound like a positive one with the definition that says you show a skillful use of tactics to achieve goal. But these tactics are deceitful tactics. What are deceitful tactics? Deceitful is where you're trying to maneuver and fool and trick somebody. So usage of trickery to get some work done, to achieve some goal is a devious way of getting it done. He is as devious as a politician needs to be. So when we use this word for a politician, you know it's not going to be a positive one. A devious politician is he knows how trickery can be used to achieve certain goals. That's a devious one. Okay? Good morning, Abhilasha. It's okay, Prads. Good morning, roosters, after a long time. Yes. So that's devious. I hope these words are clear. The next word is ineffectual. So ineffectual is ineffective. Simple. It's not effective enough. It's not appropriate enough. It's not forceful enough to bring out desired results. Is ineffectual. An ineffectual campaign, the campaign was targeting something, but the results were not appropriate. The results were not the desired ones. Thus, the campaign is called an ineffectual one. So you can link it simply to the word ineffective. Okay. Last word for the class is, okay, now how do you pronounce the word? Who's going to tell me that? Okay, Nandini, ma'am, I really find difficulty in summarizing the passage. Nandini, probably July first week, I'll have 2 classes scheduled. One class is how to find the summary or the gist or the main idea. Okay, because these questions are pretty popular in CAT at least, and specifically for ZAT as well. So I'll have a full-fledged class scheduled for how to find the summary of the article. 2, I'll have a full-fledged class scheduled for how to identify the tone of the author. For that, you'll have to make sure that you're regular with the classes, okay, that you're attending them regularly. One thing I can assure you, Nandini, that after you attend the class, you'll be a master. A bit of practice, of course, is required. I'm not going to give you a magic potion, but you'll understand exactly what the main idea or the theme or the gist or the summary is going to be. Till then, Nandini, what I can do to help you is that after every article we discuss, we can probably at least one article we could discuss what the main idea could be. Okay? So I hope I was able to answer your question appropriately, Nandini. Okay? Just a minute. Okay. All right. So I think all the questions are answered. All right. So the last word is cavalcade. So cavalcade is basically a lot of people. It's like a procession. For example, the Republic Day parade, you can call it a cavalcade. The royal cavalcade proceeds through the city. It's like a procession that goes on, possibly with a lot of animals and a lot of shosha. That's a cavalcade, a procession. It's a synonym to that. So slide number 1, take a screenshot, everybody. Let's move on to slide number 2. Here we go. Slide number 2. Burgeoning. Burgeoning is growth. Okay. So you are flourishing. You see immense output, immense growth in something that's burgeoning. Manufacturers are keen to cash in on the burgeoning demand. So the demand is actually on a rise. It's flourishing. It's increasing, rapidly increasing rather, is burgeoning. Okay. The next word is Shanghaied. Is it related to Shanghai? It does. Is it related to the place Shanghai? Not literally. Let's understand what Shanghai means contextually. So Shanghai is basically when you are in a position rather an influential position, and you make the most of an influential position to get some work done by threatening or by trickery, is Shanghai. Brady Shanghaied her into his Jaguar, okay, and rode off. So possibly Brady had a Jaguar. It's a funny sentence. I did not make it, Googled it. So Brady had a Jaguar, and that's probably why he was in an influential position. And he tricked her to get into the Jaguar, and he rode off in it. So that's what Shanghai is. Did you get this? Or Dandi March as well? Could be. Yes, Abhilasha. All right. So did you get Shanghaied, everyone? Any doubts? Anybody? Okay, let's look at the next word. If you have doubts, please send me a message then and there. Indictment. Indictment is basically your criticism to a situation. A thing that serves to illustrate that a system or situation is in a bad shape. It deserves criticism, it deserves pinpointing mistakes, condemnation. These rapidly escalating crime figures are an indictment for our society. So it's a bad thing. It deserves blame. It deserves pointing out of flaws. That's what indictment is. And the last word for the slide is anomaly. Anomaly is something that's odd, that's peculiar, that doesn't fit into the place. So can I say an anomaly in the blood report? Something's odd, something's peculiar. It should not look like that. The HB is 6. Or the lymphocytes are probably even lower. Probably they're 5. That's odd. That's an anomaly. Something that doesn't fit into the place is anomaly. Yes, Prats, it is related. Correct, it is. Okay. So anomaly, something that deviates from what is standard, something that moves away from what is normal or what is expected, away from that is anomaly. There are a number of anomalies in the present system. There are a lot of odd things in the present system. They don't fit into the present system. It's not a homogeneous one, is anomaly. Slide number 2. Send me questions if you have any. It's a negative word, Priya. It's an absolutely negative word. Okay. I'll repeat the meaning of the word, Priya, to make you understand this clearly. Sharma, it is you are in a position and you trick somebody either by force or by coercion or by maneuvering or by befooling somebody to do something for you. So either you say, if you don't do this, I'm going to hit you hard. Or you say, if you do this, I'm going to give you a lollipop. That's what Shanghai is. Okay. All right. So that's slide number 2, everyone. Let's move on to slide number 3. Here we don't have these words. We have only these 2 words for this slide, slide number 3. All right. So Amrit, it actually is, but then, it doesn't matter. It does not, because our English that we speak, it's a combination of so many accents and so many mediums we've studied in. It doesn't matter. But of course, it does when you go on to sit for a competition. Okay. The next word is gloating. Gloating is, a feeling of superiority when I am being successful and everybody else has failed. So that feeling of superiority and that feeling of getting pleasure on somebody else's pain, that is a gloating feeling. Gloating accounts of his triumph, that is, he won at everyone else's misfortune, and because he won at everyone else's misfortune, that is a very, very extremely negative connotation where he considers himself to be superior and gets immense pleasure out of everyone else losing, is gloating. Okay. To lure can be Shanghaied. Yes, it can be. No, Nandini. Dandi March doesn't relate to Shanghai. It relates to cavalcade. It's a procession. Okay, that's what the example was. Okay. All right. So that's gloating. Any questions here? Smugness. For gloating, you could relate. Supercilious, for gloating, you could relate. Yes, absolutely, you could. We are going to be suffering because there's inequality in the society. For that, we use the word precariat, okay? All right. Lower caste, you can say that, Priya. Yes. Okay. Cool. So we are done. Indictment and anomaly was already done. These 2 words. Take a screenshot. Slide number 3, everyone. Let's move on to our article today. But before I move on to the article, few things. If you're targeting the CAT 2021 meet our toppers, we've got Prathamesh, Ashish, Vishwanath. And to know more about the programs and to be one of those unstoppables for 2022, make sure you enroll yourself for a CAT 2022 comprehensive program. You can speak to our counselors on the number in the scroll that is going at the bottom bar. And if you wish to be learning from the serial 199 percentilers, then this is the program for you. Look no further. Enroll yourself right away. So I've got 2 articles. One article talks about catch 22 and one article talks about populism. This article is based on literature, okay? And the other, yes, Amrit, absolutely. Precariat relates to precarious. So these people who are precariat, they believe themselves to be in a precarious situation. That's exactly how the word comes out. You're absolutely right, okay? Now, this article, back to this article talks about literature, and catch-22 is an idiom that's a very popular one. Now, what is the meaning of this idiom, catch-22? Does anyone know that? Please do not Google, okay? If you don't know that, I will make you understand that through the article. But I'll tell you a little bit of history. Roosters, good observation. Even I have spectacles for that matter of fact. But then there's a logical reasoning question. There were 3 toppers who wore spectacles. Does that mean everybody who wears spectacles is a topper? No, right? Okay, so back to it. Do you know what does the phrase catch-22 mean? Anyone? No, you don't know that? Okay, so we're going to learn that through the article. I'll tell you a little bit of background. It's the circularity of catch-22. Catch-22 was a very, very, very popular anti-war novel that was written. This book, and the name of the book was Catch-22. And Catch-22 became so popular that the dictionary adopted the phrase catch-22 as one of the many words the dictionary has. And the meaning catch-22 has, please do not Google it, let's try to infer it through the article, okay? The meaning catch-22 has, it comes from the story the catch-22 book talks about. This article talks about that. So we're going to be reading that and we're going to be trying to infer. Okay, so Priya, it relates to the war, certainly does. To be in an impossible situation, stuck between 2 undesirable situations. Yes, you're right, Amrit. It's more like a paradox. Now, since he's answered, let me explain this to you. It's a paradoxical situation, yet it's one that you can't escape. You can't get out of. A catch-22 is a dilemma, and in a fix, you can rather say that as well, where you probably can't choose between either of these situations. Whatever you choose, you're going to be harmed. But then you have to do that. You have to do something or the other. You can't escape that situation. There's no escaping out. That is a catch-22 situation. Now, catch-22 situation, I hope you've understood that. What was the catch-22 situation in this book? And what made the book so popular that the lexicon, that the dictionary decided to adopt this phrase? We're going to be reading that. Read the page and send me a done. Simple page, only full of premise. It sets up the story. We still do not know what the catch-22 situation here is. But then we know a few things about the novel. So we have Joseph Heller, who is the writer of the book. He wrote the book in 1961. And the book was famous, rather, I would say infamous. Okay, not very popular in a positive sense. It was infamous at that time to be savagely satirical. So that means everything that's written about the story in the book will have some indirect hinting. Do you know what a satire is? BYJU'S lexicon is a word for a dictionary. Okay? So, you know what a satire is? Satire is basically a sarcasm on a social issue, usually. So, for example, I'll give you an example here. If you have you seen the movie Oh My God? That's a satire. Okay? So, you are trying to make fun of a social issue to basically criticize it. That is what satire is. If you've read The Animal Farm, if you've read any of the George Orwell books, you will know firsthand what satire is. He's a master of satire. So, this book also is savagely satirical. It's brutal. Savage here is brutal. It's pinpointing the social issues in a very humorous, yet indirect, yet a clear manner. That's why it's called a savagely satirical one. And then it's a tragic book as well. We don't know what tragedy happens in the end. I'll not disclose any of the facts because I have read the book though. But if you haven't, I'll let you figure out what happens in the end, what is so tragic about it. Okay. So the author says the book starts in a very normal 28-year-old boy's life, and his name is Captain Yossarian. That's the protagonist of the story. Protagonist is the main character of the story. It starts off with him. Now let's see what happens with him that proves the book to be satirical and that proves that the book is a tragedy as well. We'll try to understand the implication later on. We'll also try to figure out what is the catch-22 situation here in the book. Notorious is infamous. Something who is not very popular in terms of good things but bad ones is notorious. Okay. Let's move to the next page. Let's see what happens in the book. Page number 2. Read and send me a done. I'll answer that, Amrit. Read the page. Send me done when you're done. Do you see there's another character that comes into the scene now? That's Snowden. So there's a story about Snowden and Yossarian. Okay, now let's understand. A few lines here are beautifully written and there is a lot to infer here. So let me explain this. This Yossarian is a part of the Army Air Corps and he wants to come back home. He wants the war to end. He doesn't want to participate in the war, but he is stuck in a catch-22 situation. What is the catch-22 situation here? He is basically in a circular argument where either he says, he's asked to fly more missions, and if he flies more missions, he will be sent back to the ground. He knows that if he is sent back to the ground, his life is at threat. If he fly more missions, his life is at threat. What does he do? He can't escape it. There's no escaping. There's nowhere to go. This situation here is, and rather it will go on and on and on. More missions. He might get back to the ground. Getting back to the ground, he has a fear of death. He has to go back, fly more missions. He'll be sent back to the ground. So it's a circular thing. That's exactly why it said it's the circularity of catch-22 that goes on and on. You can't escape this rut. It goes on. It is echoed in the structure of the entire story. Okay. Now there was a question Amrit asked me, ma'am, what is the difference between parody and satire? There's a huge difference. Please be very clear. Parody is more like plain humor. It's an exaggerated humor, but it's humor without any ounce of criticism associated with it. Whereas satire completely aims at finding flaws. For example, I'll give you something. Have you seen any of these cartoons like Tom and Jerry? Have you? Or any of these, so they're plain humor. Donald Duck, Tom and Jerry, these are plain humor. They don't try to criticize something, they're plain humor. But then the moment you have a hidden agenda to find out flaws in a social cause, that's when it becomes a satire. Parody is exaggerated, and that's why it sometimes is associated with negativity, but it can always have a positive connotation as well. Satire will always be negative. Satirical is a very common tone that you come across. A bigger question would be, what's the difference between satire and sarcasm? Now you have to answer that. I'll wait for you. What's the difference between satire and sarcasm? Think of it and tell me. I'll wait for your answer. Difference between satire and sarcasm? Nobody? I'm waiting. Sarcasm is mocking, exactly. That's bitter mocking, bitter criticism without any ounce of seeking for improvement in anybody. You know, mothers are the epitome of sarcasm. I hope you can understand that, okay? Oh my God, you studied so much today. You helped me so much with the household work, right? So sarcasm is criticizing and mocking, Nandini. You're absolutely right. Whereas satire is to bring out a social issue. Oh, exactly. Okay. So back to the idea of the circularity of catch-22. We see that. Now there's another character that comes in, Snowden. We've understood now what the catch-22 phrase is and what is the implication of it in the story. We yet do not know what is the satire in the story. We still don't know that. Okay. And we don't know what's the tragedy in the story as well. So the unfortunate Snowden who spilled a secret on the aircraft floor. So Yossarian says there, but then it doesn't help. Okay. Something else happens then. Let's move on with the story. The book Heller's Debut, that was Heller's first book, of course, starts off lightly, underlining the absurdity of war, military bureaucracy, because he can't escape the war, right? So Yossarian is stuck with the war. He can't escape it. So it's the absurdity of the war. It's the military bureaucracy that he's trying to dodge, but he's unable to. So it's light here. There's no satire here. Yossarian is in the hospital, being just short of jaundice and declaring war on all articles. street names, and salutations in the letters he has to censor. Now, I'll tell you the background here. Read this whole paragraph. I'll tell you the background to make you understand this whole paragraph clearly. Okay. Now see, the background here is Yossarian goes off to the hospital in the actual story, stating that his liver is not working well. So doctors take him in. That's his way of escaping the realities of the war, escaping the catch-22. So he goes to the hospital, says my liver is not functioning well. The doctors keep him, but then the doctors don't see any improvement or any deterioration in his situation. The situation is constant. The same symptoms, they go on and on and on. And then many of the other soldiers do the same because they want to escape the war, and this is the only way that they have. Then comes a Texan, a person from Texas. He's a white. He comes in, he gets admitted, and he gets well, and he leaves the hospital. So Yossarian obviously has his hatred towards the Texan because everybody else is still in the hospital, stating that they're not getting better. They want to stay in the hospital. But then he sees a Texan who comes in, gets better, and leaves the hospital. So he hates this man. He says, oh, why are you even getting better and leaving the hospital? We want to tell the authorities that no, we don't want to go back to the war. And that's exactly why we are in the hospital. And all the nurses, they hate Yossarian. Of course they do. The declaring war on all articles is everything, every letter that's written by the people, by the soldiers who are in the hospital, everything is censored. They can't send out uncensored letters from the hospital to anybody because it is World War. So everything is censored. That's the brutality of the war. Everything is censored. If you're in the hospital, the nurses don't treat you well, and then you hate each other. So that's the background of this paragraph here. Okay. Sarcasm is done in a funny way with the motive of improvement, whereas satire is criticism. Oh, no, Priya, no, you're mistaken, my child. I'll answer that later on. Let's first do this paragraph quickly. So, Yossarian's world is filled with quirky characters from his tent mate, an evil-eyed, mechanically aptitude, or who walked around with crab apples in the mouth. There's another character. We don't have to care about this character. We still do not know what is the satire here. There is Meckwat with his catchphrase, oh well, what the hell. So that's his catchphrase. He keeps repeating that phrase. There's another character here. Then there's another character who says with lots of education and zero brains. We still do not know what's the satire here. The final segment, let's read this carefully. The final segment of the book returns to 1944, but is much darker. Because here, it's pretty funny. Oh well, what the hell. Lots of education, zero brains. Sounds pretty funny, casual, right? But 1944, it's much darker, with the spilling of Snowden's secret and the death of most of Yossarian's friends and comrades. So, probably the war is over and most of his friends are dead. He's out of his hospital, and the surreal walk through a bombed out Rome in the ironically named chapter, The Eternal City, is an uneasy cavalcade of haunting images. So the war is over, things are destroyed, his friends are dead, his fellow mate soldiers are dead. That's the darker side that comes up. Do you see the satire here yet? Do you? Did you? It's going to be clearer in the next page. Let me show you this paragraph. Heller said the novel during World War II and has been quoted saying Catch-22 was a criticism of the 1950s, the Korean War and the burgeoning of commercialism. So he's indirectly a satire on the Korean War and the hyper increment of commercialism in the society. He has a satire on that as well. So he has included how on commercialism, let's understand that. He has included few details like malfunctioning of the IBM computer that shanghaied a zoologist into the war effort. So this IBM computer, commercialism, Korean War, the zoologist. Catch 22 was wholeheartedly embraced by the flower power generation and a damning indictment of the Vietnam War. Okay, let's see if this entire story that we've read about Catch 22, is it still applicable to our society today? Do you see the satire still visible in our society today? Let's have a look at the last paragraph here. This one. 60 years on, Usarian's take on the horror and absurdity of war. We see that with the Russia-Ukraine war. Strikes a chord with another Snowden spilling secrets. Snowden spilled secrets in his maiden book, Catch 22. There's another person here who's spilling secrets here, and the order to play national anthem in theaters reminiscent of the glorious loyalty of the Oath Crusade, which Major Decoder put to stop with the roar of "Give me Eat." So basically these are instances from the book that are related to the present day situation where we see absurdities in our society. So it could be a war, it could be spilling secrets, it could be in order to play national anthem in theaters or anything, but we still see the fragments of his book still visible in the society today. What is the tone of the author, my children? What's the tone? What's the tone, everyone? By the time you tell me the tone, there's another question that I would want you to answer. Would you like to see the important articles from the newspaper, or would you like to read another article with me? The article is on populism. That will need a lot of talking between you and I. It's satirical. Prads talking about a satirical story does not make the article satirical. Please be very careful. The topic that's being discussed, the book that's being discussed is satirical. But the author is not satirical here. Is he? Think carefully and answer. What's the tone? Oh, by the way, did you just like my session? If you haven't, please do that. No tone? Guys, you need to answer. Analytical? Yes, Nandini? Yes. It could be objective as well. It could be descriptive as well. Some parts are narrative too. He's narrating a story. Yes. Yes, Suraj, it could be descriptive as well. Okay. So, we still have one article left, Shubhendu, so it's okay. All right. So, next article. Let's do this. We'll do it a little quickly, okay? I'll probably not make you read every paragraph here because the term populism is an important one, and it very often gets articles on this. So this article is also taken from the Hindu, and we're going to be talking about that. So who's going to first tell me what do you think is populism? Who's going to explain the phrase populism to me? What is populism according to you? Then we'll understand this article. Nobody? What do you think is populism? Anyone? Have you read of the term? Have you read the phrase anywhere? Do you have any idea? Yes, no? Social inequalities, cool, agreed. Okay, so basically populism is a political ideology that divides people into the commoners and the elites. So it goes like the hierarchy. These are the elites and these are the commoners. Okay, and this political philosophy usually would arise when there is supreme inequality in the society. And that's exactly why the word anomaly has been used. Because anomaly says something's odd, it's not fair. So the unfair division of income, unfair division of rights and opportunities given to people in the society leads to this philosophy that's called populism. This article talks of populism, okay? Yes, yes, Suraj, they published it last week. You read the Hindu, looks like that, yes. Okay? Yes, Nandini, and that appeals to the public sentiments, correct? Because they try to voice the rights of the commoners, people that follow at the bottom bar of the hierarchy. Okay? Yes, Neha, you're absolutely right. So let's understand that. An anomaly that goes by the name populism. Populism obviously explains the anomaly in the society, the discrepancy probably in income or the opportunities given to people. So while economic inequalities have grown exponentially over the last few decades, we've seen that specifically after the pandemic had hit us, we have seen the rich becoming richer and the poor becoming poorer. So the difference has increased. We have also witnessed social democratization that has been silent and uneventful. What is social democratization? Basically bringing in equality. But then how is this paradox happening then? And what is the reason of the paradox? Democratization has happened due to the spread of education, growing reach of the market, and a communication revolution that includes social media. So everybody has an access to everything. Everybody has an access to education. That has led us to democratization. Equal opportunity to everyone is what democracy is, right? One person, one vote. That's exactly what has happened with education, increase in the spread of education, reach of market. So only a click and the things will be delivered at your home, and that's not merely limited to the major metros now. Even in villages, things are being delivered. So reach to the market, and then the social media playing a big role. That may also use TikTok and Instagram, and I mean the other versions of TikTok. I know that's not applicable now. So that has led us to the legitimization of democracy through the principle of one vote, one value. Yet we've seen the economic inequalities growing. What could be a reason for that? There's a paradox. Do you see the paradox here, everyone? Do you see the paradox, everybody? Yes or no? Do you? That despite democratization, we've seen economic inequalities growing. It should have been the other way around. The inequalities should have reduced. Now do you see the paradox? Guys, say yes or no, something at least, so that I can explain it again if you don't understand it. Okay? I don't have answers yet. I believe you've got it. Such social equalization has not, however, contributed to any substantial sense of distributive justice, much against the assumption that the shift from equality to difference will also account for economic equality. So, differences in the society has reduced, but differences in the economic equality, no, that hasn't reduced in the society. Populism is an expression of this anomaly of growing social mobility but no economic equality in the society. Thank you, everyone. Finally, you're answering. That's what populism means. We have increasing social equality, but reducing economic equality. That is what populism is. This grows in terms of economic inequality. In terms of social, it probably becomes like this. But economic, it becomes like this. The maximum wealth is saturated here. It doesn't trickle down easily. That's what populism is. Okay. Democratization can be seen on many fronts. New technology has replaced all social divides. Yes, we're celebrating the Pride Month. See, did I even think of doing that while I was younger, while I was your age? Probably not. So we've seen the social divides reducing. Markets have created new modes of consumption. Everything is available everywhere to everyone. Netflix, for example, is a very good example of equality in market. Everybody has access to Netflix. Every kind of vernacular language is being covered. We have series for everybody. We can watch series everywhere. That's the, or probably Gucci bags being available on the streets. So, but are these actual Gucci bags? No, these are the fake ones. This gives us an example of what pretense is. Pretense is just to show off that, okay, I'm equal to what you are. But in reality, I probably can't afford a Gucci bag because of the economic inequality. So I'll still have a Gucci fake bag because I want to have one to show that I'm socially equal to you. But financially, I am not, and thus I cannot afford an actual Gucci bag. That's what populism is. Oh, is it? Looks like that, yeah, Praz. True, Priya, looks like that. I'll get this fixed. I'll ask somebody to get this fixed from the video team, okay? So, we see how populism is on a rise in our society. This example of the Gucci bag tells us. Manufacturing, controlling and regulating truth regimes. No, this I don't think is important. Yes, here. The dissonance between the two, social equality and economic equality, can only be made good out of creating a hyper reality, finding satiation in strongmen, narrativizing perceptions and gut feelings, pretensions and spectacles, and where performance becomes a plausible means of generating and attributing meaning. In short, what this paragraph says, because you haven't read the remaining paragraphs, I'll tell you what it says. It says that if we need to reduce the gap between the two, the social equality and the economic inequality, then we need to probably stop focusing on pretense. We need to take off the spectacles we are wearing. The spectacles is a metaphor here, okay? The spectacles that we are wearing to show that, okay, I'm socially equal to you. That Gucci example. But probably equally, I'm not equal to you in terms of economic equality. So thus, the author suggests that you need to get out of this. You need to make sure that there is a strong man, and we find confidence in that strong man. And that's how you reduce the difference between social and economic inequality and equality that we see in the society, termed as populism. Did you get this, everyone? Did you understand what's populism? I would have taken this article in a lot of detail, but then since we're running out of time, the first article took a lot of time. Did you understand what this article spoke about and what was populism? I'll give you a gist of this. This article basically focuses on what populism is, why is populism on a rise, and what could be a solution to populism. That's the gist of it. Did you get this, everybody? Yes? All right. Okay, so I'll see you next on Thursday, and I'll be bringing an Aeon article. That's what the agenda is. You have to write down the summary of the first article under my video in the comment section. If you haven't liked the video yet, please do that. Please comment under my video, share the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Telegram, and download our app on Google Play. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a very good day. God bless you. Exactly. Yes. Correct, Prats. Hi, everyone.